All right.
Hello.
Welcome back, guys. I think we're slowly getting over this jet lag. I forgot how long it takes. I was reading it takes like up to a week sometimes to get back into a routine.
Yeah, I thought I was in the clear after the first day because I was like, yeah, that's right. I stayed up all day, and man, was it a struggle sleeping in that night.
Yeah. This is episode number 298. All right, thank you all for tuning in again to another video. I just want to say, if you haven't, you should jump over to our vlog channel and subscribe there, because we will be getting out our videos from our trip at some point. Hopefully soon, but we'll see when. All right, so I know I think it was like last week, there was a blackout in Spain and Portugal. It affected Spain and Portugal. And we were hearing about it, and we haven't really looked into it. But this video says there's a rare atmospheric phenomenon behind huge outages in Portugal and Spain. I don't know if that's a theory or if they actually found that out, but we'll see. And then you guys can comment below about what actually happened. But all right, let's begin.
Well, good afternoon. Portugal's national grid operator says that a rare atmospheric phenomenon is behind a major power outage that's affected large parts of that country as well as Spain. Footage from the Spanish capital, Madrid, shows chaotic scenes at junctions as traffic lights have been
that would be
knocked
hectic.
out. The Spanish state railway firm, Renfe, says the outage is national. Trains have been cancelled and people have been forced to evacuate from the Madrid underground system. The national grid operator in Spain, Red Electricity,
I would think it was like a zombie apocalypse.
The end of the world.
Underneath, yeah. I'd be like,
There's people stuck in elevators and shit too.
Fuck that! Don't even go there. That's
it's working to restore.
I don't think they're gonna show it in the video, but I've been seeing a lot of footage like on Instagram and other stuff of people like they were having a lot of fun with it too. Like I know that it was dangerous a little bit, but there were people out in parks, people barbecuing, talking, dancing, like
touching
connecting.
Grass, literally.
Yeah, connecting with each other. I think that's the part that you don't see anywhere on the news.
Watch them show it right now.
Power, but it could take many hours to come back online. Well, play was suspended at Madrid Open, forcing the game between Grigor Dimitrov and Jacob Fernley to be stopped. Scoreboards went dark and some cameras lost power. Not that one. Well, this is a station in Lisbon where the power outage, it's darkness underground, of course. Portuguese
that would be
police
scary.
Say that the metro has been closed in both Lisbon and Porto too. Well, some of the cities affected by this, Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia and Seville in Spain, as well as Lisbon, Faro and Porto in Portugal. Andorra and parts of France have also seen some effects. Well, let's bring in our science and technology editor, Tom Clark, for some more on this. Afternoon to you, Tom. Good to have you here, because there are some words here that you're going to need you to explain to me. Anomalous oscillations have led to a phenomenon known as induced atmospheric vibration.
Yes, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? And I think we should bear in mind at the moment that is information coming from Portugal's power grid operator. It hasn't yet been confirmed by the Spanish grid authorities. And I would say at this stage, it is unlikely that one single event one thing might have precipitated this grid collapse, but it's likely that more than one thing went wrong. Because a power grid failure of this scale, and we're still waiting to find out how...
I've been seeing like people online, the conspiracy theorists that are saying like, oh, this is a plan of like they're testing out the global like reset of
like they're seeing the response
how
from
people
the public.
react. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But
I feel
whatever.
like that happens with every
like
major thing.
Yeah, there's always a theory behind it.
They're always like, well, they're just testing the waters to see how everyone responds.
How many people have been affected, but you were just listing some of Europe's largest cities there across Spain and Portugal. This is quite possibly the largest outage we've seen in Europe, maybe
that is wild.
In history, but certainly for a very long time. And things like that don't happen for no reason. And these grids are engineered to be as reliable and dependable as possible, because they are, and I think we take them for granted while they're working. We don't realise just how much of a a kind of
We depend
plant
on it.
spinning act to keeping a large grid system, and this is a very large grid system.
It is insane if you look back 100 years how dependent we've come on electricity.
Or technology in general, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Spain operates across the whole of the Iberian Peninsula, some of it connected to, as you were saying there, directly to Portugal, also interconnectors to part of France, and it also supplies all of Spain's island nations as well around the mainland Spain. It's a very, very large grid. And this is about a grid operator's worst nightmare. Not quite the
Yeah, I
worst,
bet.
because what we saw at about 12:30 Spanish time was about half, based on their sort of power demand, disappear from the grid. So they've got half their power grid still working, and that's crucial because that means they've got power to put back onto the grid to help restore the balance. And it's all about balance. I'm going to come on to that in a second. But it's not a black start scenario, which is the real nightmare. And that's when you've got no power at all, even to get your power stations running again. That's something that affected Cuba, if you remember, for several weeks quite recently. So at least they've got power
I
in
don't know.
Spain. But getting back onto the grid is no easy feat. And with every hour that goes by now, it gets harder. So first of all, why? Well, a power grid works, as you probably know, on alternating current AC. It comes out of our plugs. Alternating current, though, runs at a very specific frequency. Here in the UK and in Spain, it's 50 hertz. If it drops even a few hertz below 50, 48.5, 47, things start to
Why
go
do they keep
wrong.
showing
Things
this?
start to
I don't know, the
trip.
same video.
And the reason the frequency might either fall or rise is if there is a sudden drop in either demand or supply of power. So something's obviously happened here. There was a sudden drop or increase in power supply or demand. That could have been caused, yes,
just on a
by
loop.
induced atmospheric variation on a power.
It just sounds, to me, it just sounds like gibberish what he's saying. I'm just like, okay. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I was zoning out only because
It was the same loop
it was
over
a
and
loop,
over.
Yeah, I was like, is there something we're not
I mean-
picking up on?
I get what he's saying to an extent. Like he's just saying if the power drops below a threshold that it
It's almost
loses it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to come back from when they're sourcing power from the other part of the grid, right? That
Yeah.
was
Power line between Portugal and Spain. Hypothetical scenario, let's say because of that, Portugal suddenly drops off Spain's
What is the
grid. That's
atmospheric
entire
phenomenon?
Electricity
Yeah.
demand from Portugal goes
I don't think they
away,
know. I think they're just
frequency
saying
drops
that.
massively. Then Spain's power stations start to shut themselves down to protect their turbines from
It's
spinning
because
too
Katy
fast
Perry
and
went to
blowing up.
space.
The power plants. So
you guys, everything is that's happening and anything happens bad forward is because Katy Perry went to space.
They said, I think they need to expand upon that explanation.
Yeah, I know exactly.
these trips are in there to prevent that from happening. Now they've got to build that power back up. But because the grid's now off, they don't know how much demand there is out there. Who left their air conditioner on? Which hospitals are running on backup generation, which don't? That is a very difficult task to do. And what grid operators will be doing in this scenario is very carefully switching on small components of the grid bit by bit. And that involves making phone calls to people between controllers and engineers in those control rooms and very gradually putting bits of the grid back together. Get one power plant up and running, one small area of the grid up and running, and then move on to the next one. And it can take, as the power company in Spain has indicated, the grid operator in Spain, I should say, that could take 10 hours. But things can also go wrong. You can have everything can trip. You can have another power outage, and you have to start from scratch again. Another problem, if it goes much beyond 12 hours, some people are suggesting, and this is certainly a problem that is known about, local substations that supply neighbourhoods have their own batteries to tide things over and help restart local grids in the case of power outages and make them easier to restore more quickly. Those batteries start to run down relatively quickly. If the outage continues for a while and those batteries drain, then it's even more of a challenge to get grids up and running. And just to throw this into the mix, although there's been some word out there that this is because Spain has a very renewables-dominated grid, a lot of solar and wind energy on there, that wouldn't have been the cause of a power outage because of the way these grids are integrated and the types of technology they put on there to regulate the frequency of the current. But it's true, a large amount of Spain's generation is from solar power. That will be, as the sun sets, that will be going offline. They've got less power to draw on, although it possibly could make it easier.
That's gonna be an opening for all the people who are against like the climate, like climate change and like the
What?
newer ways of getting power and other stuff like that, they're gonna be like, look, you see, it doesn't work. They're gonna say
He's
it's
saying
a
that
fault.
has nothing to do with it.
I know, but I'm saying like people are gonna jump on that to be like,
I honestly doubt it. I don't think people who think like that can think that far ahead.
Yeah, not having that supply there. But anyway, there'll be grid engineers across Spain right now sweating profusely, partly because their air conditioning's gone out, but partly because they've got a lot of work to do to try and get this very finely tuned plate spinning act of getting all of those frequencies in electricity back synchronized and in
oh my God,
singing like a choir all at the same note in order to get the grid back up and running.
wow.
Great stuff, Tom Clark.
So what happened? So what caused it?
Explaining it very clearly to us, Tom. Really appreciate it.
I must have missed that. I don't.
No, he
speak
didn't
British.
explain.
He had a British accent, right? Or am I fucking hearing shit?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure
Because I zoned out a couple times, but I still am like.
this sounds like absolute bollocks.
Someone said, "Did I miss where he explained the word?"
Yeah, exactly. He didn't get to the point of the title.
Okay.
Makes it scarier that they don't want to talk about the rare atmospheric pressure.
Well, okay, it's fine not to talk about it, but like, don't label the video that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That explanation.
The comments are lit.
They are. It just seemed like that explanation was just running around in circles.
This sounds like absolute bollocks.
Bollocks, mate.
That sounds fun, like to say.
It is. It does sound fun to say.
I woke up in a movie
You guys,
today.
when we were on our trip,
Okay.
we met these two people from the UK, and I said I thought they asked where do you think we're from, and I said Australia, and they didn't look too happy about
Well,
that.
no, because they asked where we were from, and we said California, and then I could tell they were from the UK. So I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" Thinking they'll just tell me the city they're from,
Yeah.
and
They said
they
guess.
said, "Oh, guess," as if I have any reference. Like I'm gonna say London or nothing with your British accent. I don't know the UK that deeply, and so Brian goes Australia.
Only because there were so many Australians in Vietnam. There were tons of Australians in Vietnam.
When I tell you they had the thickest British accent, I was like, Brian, you went to Australia for how long? And
yeah,
you
but
couldn't
they
tell
only said like a couple words. And
No,
then,
Brian, they were talking so much. They were those people that
then not before I said that.
they were talking so much. They were standing right next to me. Because the whole reason they were standing next to us is because there's this dragon bridge in Da Nang, Vietnam, that every weekend at 9:00 shoots out fire. It's just whatever. It's like a
little show
experience for tourists, right? And they came to see it, and they stood next to us because we had like a pretty fair like view. And then the girl, I heard her say like, "Oh, let's just go over there." And I knew in my head, I was like, they're gonna go there, realize the view actually sucks, and then they're gonna come back. But whatever. So they did that, and I could hear them explaining their plans, what's going on in their brain, like the whole interaction back and forth. They were so loud about it, and the whole time they're speaking, I can easily tell they're from the UK. And so when you said that, I was like, Brian, please stop embarrassing us. We look like those dumbass Americans.
as soon as the guy was like, "Are you being genuine?" I was like, "Oh, the UK." I was like, "Yeah, the UK. My bad." And they're like, "Yeah." So
They were from London.
yeah. Anyway, I apologize to all our UK viewers for that. And apparently, it's very you guys don't like it when you get mistakes.
No, they weren't rude about it.
No.
It was just funny because I was like, Brian, please be for real right now. Like, I don't know. I would expect me to make that mistake, not you.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So basically, they didn't tell us what caused it.
No.
So
They just did that, I think, to get
we're
clicks.
still confused.
I think they titled it that to get clicks. I haven't heard great things about Sky News. I think I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's
Can we Google it? What caused the blackouts in Spain and Portugal?
it doesn't really say. It just says
Sudden drop in power generation, breakdown in the interconnection with France, and potential issues with the grid's ability to manage rapid changes. What different happened now? Because this is gonna turn into what Brian said. People are gonna start blaming the solar dependency now that they have.
I don't think they're able to really pinpoint exactly what caused it.
How you gonna prevent it from happening again then?
Yeah. I don't know. You guys in the comments, let us know what you think caused it and if you have any update that we don't know. But thank you all for watching.
Yeah, that video was 5 days ago, so.
So like and subscribe and jump over to our vlog channel. Peace.